Have you ever heard the term chords before? And perhaps you are confused. You've had different types of chords, your major, your minor, your different types of chords, and maybe you don't even know where to start from. If this is your problem, I have a good news for you, because in this video we are going to treat chord, we are going to break down chord deep down to the basic foundation, so that you're going to understand all theories and concepts behind it. So let's begin. So first and foremost, I will teach you the definition of chords. Then I will teach you the types of chords and how they are built. Then we move to the characteristic of these basic types of chords, so that you have a general idea of how they can be applied in a song. So now to the definition. What are chords? Chords are simply formed when more than one note the word more than one, are played at the same time. Also note the word same time. So remember, these are notes on the piano, these white and black stuffs. So when we do something like this, we are just playing one note, okay? These are notes we are striking. But when it becomes more than one, okay, that is, maybe we have this becomes chords. Chords are played when more than one notes are played at the same time. So it could be more than two. I can even have 3 notes, I can add 4, and so on. So these are chords, playing more than one note at the same time. So there are different types of chords on the piano. Among them are, we have your major chord, we have your minor chord, we have your diminished chord, suspended chord, augmented chord, your 7th, 9th, dominant 7th, and many more. Okay, so don't worry about the individual characteristic of these chords. I will release video of each of these chords one after the other individually. So subscribe so you're not going to miss out on them. Okay, so but for this video we're just going to be focusing on the basic. So now, for simplification, we can group all these chords I mentioned above into 3 broad categories based on the number of notes contained in the respective chords. Okay, so the 3 broad categories we can group into all these chords into number 1 is what we call dyads chords. So we have dyads, and number 2 triads, and number 3 extended chords. So when I mean dyads, I mean these are chords containing 2 notes. Okay, they contain 2 notes. So for example, these are your major third chord, minor third chord, even your fifths. So these are dyads chords because they contain 2 notes. Don't worry about the major third and minor third I mentioned. You will understand later in the future when I release future videos, okay? But for now, just understand the number of notes that is contained in the chord, which are 2 notes chords, okay? So now the next type of chords are what we call a triad chord, and these are chords that contain 3 notes. They contain 3 notes, from the name triad meaning 3. And this classification of chords are also the most popular, okay? Most of the songs use them. So we have examples of triad chord are major triad, we have your minor triad, we have your diminished triad chord, we have your suspended chord, which are your sus4 and your sus2, we have your augmented chord, and these are the most relevant ones. Okay, so for the next type of chord, we have extended chord. So when you are going above 3 notes, in my own opinion, I term it extended, because you are extending the chord away from the basic normal triad chord that everyone is familiar with. So if it's a major chord and we have something like this, becomes examples of these extended chords are your major 7th, your major 9th chord, your 13th, your dominant 7th, and many more type of extended chord, just when you are going above 3 notes. So from all this classification of chords, the most advisable group that beginners should focus on first are the basic triad, especially your major, minor, and diminished. And with time, you can now advance to added 7th, 9th, 13th, dominant 7th, and the likes. So when you understand the concept of triad, you can now extend those chords. Suits you. So now, to build the 3 basic triad chords, which are your major, minor, and diminished, it's very, very simple. All you need to do is just follow this formula. So to build a major chord of a particular key, all you need to do is hold that key to get 1 note of the chord. Remember, triad chord contains 3 notes. So you hold that key in which you want to build the chord. You hold that particular key, and that becomes your first note. Then you add 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps or you can say semitone, to get the second note of the chord. Then you had 1, 2, 3 half steps to get the third note of the chord. So this is your C major chord, because our first note or the root note is C. So for instance, I want to build F major chord. I will hold F because it's F major chord. Then I had 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. This is F major chord, okay? So that's for major chords. Applicable to any key. Just hold that key, just add 4 half steps upwards, and then add 3 half steps upward again to get the third note of the chord. So for your minor chord, it's just the like a kind of opposite. So for minor, you hold the key and you count 1, 2, 3 to get the second note of the chord, then add 1, 2, 3, 4 to get the third note of the chord. Okay. So for diminished, it's very simple. All you need to do is just to hold the key, add 1, 2, 3, okay, to get the second note of the chord, then add 1, 2, 3 again to get the third note of the chord. So this is your diminished chord. So let's review this. So this is our C major chord, this is our C minor chord, and this is our C diminished chord. It's applicable to any other key on the piano. Now for the characteristic of this chord type, of these 3 basic chord types, that's major, minor, and diminished. Your major chord have a kind of characteristic happy sound. So when I mean happy, I mean most of the songs that are composed of your major chord, they make you happy. Like when you listen to the song, you have your exciting hormones are being activated, okay? Your excitement hormones. So this is your major chord. So for instance, something like this. So these are major chords I'm playing, and you see it brings that happy sound, okay? So while your minor chord have a characteristic dull or sad sound, that's moody. So when you hear songs that are made up of mostly your minor chord, that songs have a kind of sad or tragic feeling attached to it. So for example, I'm going to use a song that is God of Mercy and Compassion. This is a popular Christian song. If you're not familiar with it, don't worry. All I'm just trying to point out is that using songs that contain this minor chord have a moody feeling attached to it. So the progression of the song, I'll be playing the song on key A minor, that's A minor scale. So I'm going to be using the first chord of the scale, that's your A minor chord. Then I'm going to use this chord, that is the 5th chord of the scale, E minor. Then the 4th chord of the scale, D minor. Then back to the 3rd chord of the scale, the 5th chord of the scale, that is E minor, and back to this. So however, when I'm playing the 3rd chord of the scale, I'm going to make it a major chord. So there are more theories to this, but don't bother about it. Like this: God of mercy and compassion, look with pity upon me. So you can see it's kind of moody. It's not something, it's even something that is worth crying for, okay? When you hear this, you can start crying. So for your diminished chord, most time the diminished chord has kind of unstable sound. It's your C diminished chord. It's very unstable, and most times it can't stand alone, so it's often seek for resolution to the nearest chord you can form. So in this case, C diminished chord can seek for resolution to your C major chord. So most times it's used as a passing chord. That's a chord that leads you to another chord. So for instance, we can use C diminished chord to resolve back to our C major chord, and that's possible because when you look at these 2 notes of the diminished chord, they are just half step below the notes of your C major chord. So this will lead down to this, down to this. So it creates that kind of pull that leads you back to your major chord. So I think we'll stop it for this video. I hope you find this video helpful, and my future videos, I'll be releasing videos on each of these individual chords one after the other. So make sure you subscribe, and don't forget to subscribe because it keeps us motivated to keep releasing videos. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my other videos.